So now that we've seen a lot of the available controls for adjusting image contrast and image color, at least within the context of a primary grade, let's take a quick look at another way of how to put all of these tools together to create a more practical grade. I'm going to resize the scopes window to fit more at the bottom here, because I want to see my node view. Now, we've seen that you can use multiple nodes to build up a grade of multiple operations. I'd like to just quickly show you how I would approach something like this with a shot that pretty obviously could use a little bit of help. Now, I've got some flaring coming in from the sun. It's dropping the contrast. I also have a lot of pink light that's coming in just because of the quality of the time of day. And I'm going to make a neutralizing adjustment to this, and then I want to add a few elements of high style. In the process, I'm going to show you how I tend to put grades together for shots like this, where I'm doing some stylization. First off, I like to start out by making a contrast adjustment. So in this case, I'm going to move to the log controls. And because I can see an offset down here at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and use that offset to neutralize the darkest shadows. I don't want any color in my shadows here. Having done that, I'm going to drop the offset master to bring the signal down to just touch 0. I want to have some really dark shadows. Having set that up, I'm now going to change modes, and I'm going to use the gain color wheel to neutralize those highlights. I have a very neutral looking image now, but it's a bit flat and lifeless. Having set all of this up, I am now going to create a new node. And in this node, I'm going to add a little bit of orange to my midtones. And the only reason I'm doing this in another node is because I might not like what happens, and I don't want to have to redo the previous node. So I set that up. Maybe I want to neutralize that adjustment in the shadows. Clicking the number to get a before and after, I decide I like what's happening here. And while I'm adding a little bit of preferential style, maybe I want to try playing with the Luma channel a bit. Now, I could stand to have this image be more highly saturated, so I'm going to gang the custom curves. I'm going to lighten those highlights. I don't really want to jam them, because I don't want to do too much compression in the highlights and lose too much sky detail. There isn't a lot there, but I want to preserve what's there. And now I'm going to compress the shadows. Again, I'm trying not to lose any detail at the very bottom, which is why I'm using the curve. I'll go ahead and drop those shadows, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. At this point, maybe I want to experiment with a little bit more high style, so I'm going to add another grade. I'm going to jump into log mode, and I am going to add some blue to the midtones. But I'm going to drop the high range because I don't want to lose the warmth that I introduced into the sand. I just want to add a little bit of blue to the lighter shadows. Maybe there's too much blue in the lighter shadows, so I'll increase the low range. I just play around with it until I find a good medium for what I'm trying to achieve. Again, if I want to get a before and after of just that operation, I can click that node's number to turn it off and on. And at this point, if I loop the clip, and play it, I can get a good sense of how clean that adjustment is. And except for a bit of aliasing that's being imposed by the shrinking operation of the viewer, I'm seeing that that's looking pretty darn good. So this is an example of using all of these operations together within a single grade, but breaking them up using individual nodes so that they're separately controllable. And if at any point, say the client walks in the door and says, Alexis, you're out of your mind, that blue undertone, I just don't like it. It's a simple thing for me to go, oh, okay, no problem. Delete that node, go back to the way it was, and now we're done.